What's up guys, back again for another video. And if you don't know and you're new to this channel, I am a board certified internal medicine physician, currently training in my second residency in radiology. And what I want to talk about today is this guy right here. Now you might have seen in the title, I just received my COVID-19 vaccination, the Pfizer brand of the vaccination, and I just received it yesterday. Now there's plenty of videos out there that talk about the vaccine, how they work, and how efficacious they are. And these videos are fantastic, so if you want to learn more about the vaccines, I'll redirect you to those videos. However, with this video here, this is more anecdotal story. I want to talk about my experience with the vaccine, why I waited so long to get the vaccine, and how I feel after getting the vaccine. So, these two brands, Moderna and Pfizer, which were approved via the FDA emergency use authorization, they have huge clinical trials backing them. And the clinical trials were very well conducted and they show very good efficacy for preventing symptomatic COVID-19, 94 point something percent and 95%. So these are excellent vaccines, and I do recommend after you speak with your doctor, when you have the opportunity to get the vaccine, you should get vaccinated. Now, I had COVID-19 myself. I had it about 6 months ago. I had it, my wife had it, my kids had it. It spread throughout the household. It was a really tough time for us, but luckily all of us are back to our normal baseline. So there's no data out there that shows what happens if you take the COVID-19 vaccination after you've already had COVID-19. Now, these clinical trials that were conducted with these volunteers, one has like 43,000 volunteers, the other clinical trial has 50,000 volunteers. These were all individuals who had never had COVID-19 in the past. Now, I had COVID-19. The data out there suggests that after months, your antibodies and your immunity towards COVID-19 starts to dwindle. How long does that take? No one really knows. Data is somewhere around 4, 8, 12 months, around that range there. But no one really knows. So I waited about 6 months before getting my vaccine. Now, the CDC doesn't recommend that. If you've had COVID-19 recently, as long as it's not like within the last 14 days, or last time I heard they even extended it out a little bit more, like 21 days. But you should speak to your doctor before making this decision. But there's no data out there that says that you cannot take the vaccine. And actually the CDC recommends that you still get the vaccine even if you've had COVID-19 in the past. The reason for that is because the vaccines actually show that they've had larger immune response. Your immune response is amplified and greater than an immune response that you would have gotten if you had COVID-19 out in the wild. Now, as time is going to go on, these clinical trials are not over. They're going to be continuing to be tested. We're going to see some long-term sequela, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of data out there with individuals who had COVID-19 versus individuals who didn't have COVID-19. Me personally, I decided I'm going to wait. I waited about 6 months. Yesterday, I went into the little clinic that they had set up. You answer a few questions. They talk to you about allergies. After that, you get your vaccine. I asked them what brand it was. They showed me the lot number and everything like that. So I received the Pfizer vaccine. And after that, most of the complications, in terms of the deadly complications, those happen usually within the first 15 minutes. That's what the data shows. So within the first 15 minutes, so you're monitored there. Depending on what kind of medical history you have, you can be staying there for up to 45 minutes. But if you have relatively low risk of having any complications, 15 minutes. So I sat there for 15 minutes, and during that time, you set up the appointment for the next dose. So both of these vaccines take 2 doses. You need a primer dose and you need a booster dose. Those are about 21 days apart for the Pfizer vaccine and 28 days apart for the Moderna vaccine. Now, how do I feel? I do have some arm soreness. Usually when I get a flu vaccine, I don't get very sore. With the tetanus vaccine, I do get sore sometimes, but this is significantly worse than that. When I lift up my shoulder here, I definitely feel some soreness there. I didn't experience any fevers, didn't experience any chills. I did have some fatigue, but I don't know if I'm just chronically tired because I work a lot. So I couldn't tell if it was because of work or if it was because of the vaccine. But so far, I haven't had any of the traditional symptoms that people have reported, which I also want to mention are not really considered side effects. The whole point of the vaccine is to prime your immune response. And your immune response includes things like fevers, chills, the same symptoms that you associate with having a cold, having a flu, or even having COVID-19. So the immune system gets triggered by the pathogens that are in this vaccine. Your body actually generates the pathogens that make the antibodies towards one of the proteins on the outer membrane of COVID-19 virus. So that's why you feel the symptoms that you feel. Luckily for me, I haven't felt the symptoms. Many people say that when you get the second dose, you feel more of the symptoms. The booster dose actually increases the efficacy up into the 90s. After the first dose, they say you're about only 50 to 60% effective. But one thing I will tell you is do not just get a single dose. you've heard on the news about all these variants and all these different variations of COVID-19. And yes, it's very scary, but I just want to tell you two things about it. One, this is inevitable and normal. All bacteria and viruses, they develop resistance, they mutate. It's a normal part of the process. And secondly, if you are going to get the vaccine only one dose and skip the second dose, you are priming the virus to mutate. You're gonna have antibodies towards a certain amount of the virus, but the virus is easily going to be able to mutate, and there's more chances of a mutation if your immunity isn't higher up there by taking both doses. So definitely what I'm going to recommend is speak to your doctor first. Make sure that it's safe for you to take it, and don't take my advice. After that, once it's available to you, get the COVID-19 vaccination and be diligent and get both doses. Schedule both doses, take time off. It's important. Get both doses, and in the long run, this will hopefully bring the pandemic down to a close. Now, what's life after the vaccine? You still have to wear masks as of now. You still have to social distance as of now. You still should be washing hands as of now. Why? Because the COVID-19 vaccine doesn't guarantee that you don't spread asymptomatic COVID disease to other people. So your loved ones, your children, your grandparents, your parents, you want to make sure that you're not spreading asymptomatic disease to them. And remember, during this pandemic, it was very difficult to even come to the conclusion that COVID-19 spreads via asymptomatic spread. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up the way we did. So at this point, the chances of you spreading COVID-19 asymptomatically after getting the vaccine, probably low, but not zero. And no one really knows, I could be wrong. Once more data comes out, once more research is done, that might be wrong. But from what we know right now, you can probably presume that the chances of you spreading asymptomatic COVID-19 after the vaccine is pretty slim. So I hope that enough people get the vaccine and we can slowly come back to some sort of normalcy. I still feel like we are living in a new normal, and things will probably never go back essentially identical to how things were in the past. We're always going to be a little bit more cautious, but I hope at the end of the day that we come back to some sort of normalcy. So I hope that helped. I hope you understand why I waited. I don't recommend you do the same. I think you should speak to your doctor and make your own decision. Right, as of right now, the COVID-19 vaccination is not mandatory, and I hope it stays that way. It should never be made mandatory. However, I do recommend after you speak to your doctor, and if you're eligible, get the vaccine. So those are my thoughts on the vaccine. So far, I feel fine, besides a little bit of arm soreness. We'll see how things go. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, with more content coming soon. Later.